Hello and welcome to CYC News for the 12th of June 2021 and the 5th of Bauna 17:37 AM. I'm Andrew Nara, and in today's headlines, Boris Johnson says the UK and US have an indestructible relationship. Israel says Gaza tower it destroyed was used by Hamas to try and jam the Iron Dome. A blackout in Puerto Rico after power station fire. United Nations aid chief says there is famine in Ethiopia's Tigray region. The US and other G7 countries pledge further COVID-19 vaccine distribution. And all you need to know about the delayed Euro 2020. But first, to the United Kingdom, where Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said the alliance between the US and the UK should be known as the indestructible relationship, after meeting US President Joe Biden for the first time. He said he had terrific talks with Mr. Biden, who has travelled to Cornwall for the G7 summit of world leaders. Mr. Johnson insisted the US president had not rebuked him over post-Brexit tensions in Northern Ireland. However, Mr. Biden is said to have deep concern over the situation. The Prime Minister met with Mr. Biden in Carbis Bay, Cornwall, on Thursday ahead of the G7 summit. The summit will see the leaders of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the US and UK gathering in person for the first time since the pandemic, while Mr. Johnson has also invited leaders from Australia, South Korea, South Africa and India to attend. Israel says a media building destroyed by one of its airstrikes in the recent Gaza conflict was being used by the Hamas militant group to try and jam its Iron Dome missile defense system. The Jala Tower housed the offices of the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. AP said it had not seen evidence to support Israeli allegations that the militants were operating there. Hamas, which controls Gaza, denied it had officers in the building and called its destruction a scheming war crime. Spokesman Hazem Qassem said the Israelis' occupation's repeated lies about the presence of Hamas officers in Jala Tower is a failed attempt to try to justify its crime by targeting a civilian tower that houses media offices and international television channels. The recent conflict began after weeks of spiraling Israeli-Palestinian tension in occupied East Jerusalem, which culminated in clashes at a holy site revered by both Muslims and Jews. A power plant fire in the US territory of Puerto Rico has left thousands of households without electricity. Pictures on social media show plumes of smoke rising from flames at a substation in the capital San Juan. The fire broke out shortly after the firm reported a cyber attack, which has not yet been linked to the fire. The Caribbean island has struggled with rolling blackouts ever since Hurricane Maria largely destroyed its electrical grid in 2017. Some Puerto Ricans were left without electricity for nearly a year after the storm. A private company, Luma Energy, took over operation and maintenance of the island's power system this month. On Thursday, the company said that the fire broke out at the Monaxillo power distribution plant soon after the company website was hit with 2 million visits per second in a known cyber attack as a denial of service. Outages have already affected more than 1 million households on the island so far this month. Over to Ethiopia now, where the United Nations humanitarian chief Mark Lowcock has said that there is a famine in the country's Tigray region after release of a UN-backed analysis of the situation. The study found that 350,000 people were living in severe crisis in the war-torn Tigray region. Mr. Lowcock said there is famine now. It is going to get a lot worse. Tigray has been devastated by fighting between government forces and rebels, with 1.7 million people displaced since the fighting began in November 2020. According to the assessment, the food situation in the region has reached the level of a catastrophe, which it defines as starvation and death affecting small groups of people spread over large areas. The UN's World Food Programme, Food and Agriculture Organization and Children's Agency UNICEF have called for urgent action to address the crisis. The analysis or integrated phase classification is, as it is known, was not endorsed by Ethiopia's government, which it has denied that there is a famine in the country. It insists that humanitarian access is being expanded as it restores order across the region. In some health news, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced that the UK will donate over 100 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines to poorer countries in the next year. It follows President Biden's announcement ahead of this weekend's G7 summit that the US will donate 500 million doses. The donation will be routed through COVAX, the international scheme designed to ensure low-income countries aren't left behind in the fight against COVID-19. COVAX was created last year to ensure COVID-19 vaccines were made available around the world, with richer countries subsidizing the cost for poorer countries. The scheme hopes to distribute enough vaccines to protect at least 20% of the population in 92 low or medium income countries, starting with healthcare workers and the most vulnerable groups. Its initial goal was to provide 2 billion doses of vaccines worldwide in 2021 and 1.8 billion doses to 92 poorer countries by early 2022. COVAX is run by a number of international organizations, including the World Health Organization and the UN Children's Charity and UNICEF. And in sport, Euro 2020 is officially underway, and what was already going to be a unique tournament will be notable for several other reasons too. The competition keeps its name even though it was delayed for a year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It will now run from June 11 to July 11, 2021 across 11 countries. It is a first major men's tournament for Scotland since 1998, while England could have a home advantage in nearly every game. England and Scotland, who are in the same group, are two of the host countries in the first European Championship to be held across the continent. Those matches will be the first major men's tournament games held in the UK since Euro 1996. With London's Wembley hosting group games, a last 16 tie, both semi-finals and the final, England would only have to play one match abroad if they win their group and go all the way. The other host cities are Glasgow, Amsterdam, Baku, Bucharest, Budapest, Copenhagen, Munich, Rome, Seville and St. Petersburg. And that's all for CYC News. A reminder that you can watch the news bulletin again throughout the week on YouTube. I'm Andrew Nada, and from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia, see you next time.